He was my patient for 15 years. He became an obsession with me until I realized that there was nothing within him, neither conscious nor reason that was, even remotely human. Here's your look at the new Trick or Treat Studios Halloween 2 Michael Myers Deluxe 1/6 scale figure. Trick or Treat Studios and Universal Studios are proud to present the official Halloween 2 Michael Myers 12-inch action figure. This amazing figure is 1/6 scale, which is approximately 12 inches in height, and has 30+ points of articulation, so you can pose your figure perfectly for display. If the shape won't kill you, then the hospital expenses will. Before we get a closer look at the new Trick or Treat Studios Halloween 2 Deluxe Michael Myers, I'd like to thank the folks over at Trick or Treat Studios who were kind enough to send this one over so we could have a look at the figure. If you guys are interested and would like to add this one to your collection, don't blame you. You can click the link down below in the video description. In the meantime, though, let's grab the tape measure just to see how tall the figure stands. Now, it is advertised as being a 12-inch tall figure. 12 inches technically is right here. Michael Myers is just a little shorter than that. In fact, he stands about 11.5 inches in height, or the figure is going to be about 29 centimeters tall. Even though it is a continuation of the same night, from the mask standpoint, 3 years did take its toll, as actually this Michael Myers is wearing the same mask as one that was worn in the '78 movie. Dick Warlock also seemed to have a slightly larger head, which could also contribute why the mask looks so distinctly different. By the way, looking at the differences of the two figures, here's what the 1978 Michael Myers looks like, also released from Trick or Treat Studios, compared along with the one that we will be looking at here from the 1981 follow-up film. Unlike the '78 release, though, the Halloween 2 Michael Myers from Trick or Treat Studios comes with a lot more accessories. The first of which we'll have a look at is the jack-o'-lantern that we see in the opening credits of the film. Played in the background, I believe, by harpsichord. The only other time I remember anything being played by harpsichord, Lurch was playing it for the Addams Family. As we saw in the opener of the movie, though, you see this jack-o'-lantern that has quite large eyes and an equally large nose. However, though, the more time we spend with it and the closer we get, we see that the pumpkin starts to open up, and inside is a demonic-looking skull. They've replicated this nicely, actually, in fact. If you flip around the back and look at the back, there's a hinge there that connects the two halves of the pumpkin together. Ironically enough, though, the pumpkin pieces are a softer plastic that they've used. Again, a nice detail done to this. A more darker color pumpkin we get this time around, compared it to the '78 release, which is about the same size to one another. Maybe this one's just a tad bit bigger. And while this one did benefit from having the light-up functions, they would be a little harder, I think, to pull off, being the fact that this would have to open up and all. I do like that this one did actually light up. But this one does, again, have the benefit of having the two halves open up. Now, when you do open it up, I noticed that this half opens easier than this side here. You could probably try to center the skull once you have it opened up, but you can see the detail work done inside of it. They've even put the little flesh of the pumpkin there on the side as it stretches away from the mask inside. Again, nice detailing done to it. While it doesn't have a light-up function, they have certainly added a little bit of yellow dry brushing inside to make it illuminate, even though it's not technically doing that. I do like the way they've done the pumpkin. Really nicely done. On to the rest of the accessories, though, that come included with the figure. Let's have a look at some of his hands. Now, as of right now, the figure has socketed in his forearms a pair of relaxed hands, but Michael Myers also comes included with a pair of grabbing hands or mauling hands, perhaps even nibbling hands if you're Nurse Karen. If anybody remembers, that's one of the best kills in the entire movie, him lunging and plunging Nurse Karen's head into the scalding bath water. Even though the hands don't seem as dark and dingy as perhaps the ones that Karen was nibbling on, they are really nicely detailed hands. And I did actually want to bring the hands out. The one that we got from the '78 Michael Myers were a little bit more smoother and missing some of the details. But these were the hands that came included with the add-on pack for the '78. You can see, though, how they've improved upon the hands, adding more natural color of skin tone. They also have made the hands look almost even wet. Now, that could either be sweat or it could also be hot, steamy bath water. I'll leave it to you to decide. The figure also has, above and beyond these two grabbing hands, he also comes, of course, with a holding hand, a gripping hand, for all the other accessories that we're about to have a look at. Again, the work of detailing that they added to this, adding some slightly pinker tones to the knuckle area and adding some much appreciated veinage there on the tops of the hands. I think they just keep getting better and better. And then, of course, the last hand that we'll have a look at. Most likely, I'm guessing the one hand that you're probably going to be displaying your figure with is the one that comes included with the scalpel. Now, the scalpel is permanently attached to the hand. I think that's a smarter route to have gone instead of actually having the scalpel being a separate piece. First of which, that would be easy to lose. And second of all, it would be harder, I think, to put inside the hand. Instead, what they've done is just permanently attach the scalpel. And I think it does a lot better job, in all honesty. Then, on to the other hands, or I guess on to the other accessories that come included with the figure. First of which, the figure comes included with a hammer. Poor Mr. Garrett does get this, although he doesn't get it from this side. He seems to get it from the back that pulls the nails. This time around, Michael ain't pulling nails, though. He was lunging into the top of Mr. Garrett's head. Mr. Garrett. A decently detailed also as well hammer. You can see there's some grain work added to the handle portion. Some rust that would naturally start to settle on the metal is also there as well. Settle on the metal is also there as well. And this, of course, can fit into his hand. I did actually have this in the beginning of the review, with the claw end of the hammer facing forward. Michael's preferred use of the tool. Then on to the other accessories. The figure comes included with a knife. Now, this knife, as you can see, has already been used, as there's a generous amount of blood that's been added to the end of it. Sorry, you want mustard with that? He's fast asleep. Mrs. Elrod, while preparing a sandwich for her husband in the next room. Unbeknownst to her, Michael comes in and steals the knife. And although while he's not spreading on mayo or mustard, he certainly has been using it for cutting other things that weren't necessarily sandwiches. And though, like the hammer, we can go ahead and take that. Now, this knife, being a little bit more smaller, sits a little more looser in his hand. If you were to tilt this upside down, for example, you'll see that the knife just seems to fall out. One thing you can also do, too, is if you take the handle of the knife and twist it towards, even though it's not really, it looks a little awkward, it holds it a lot better. It survives, tipping it upside down. The last of the accessories that come included with the Halloween 2 Michael Myers is a syringe. An actual working syringe. The only thing that's actually missing inside is the liquid. Or in this case, Michael will be fine just to fill it with air. He also uses this, of course, with Dr. Mixter, sticking that inside the eye. That's a gruesome death. Halloween 2, to its credit, actually has some of the more interesting kills in the Halloween franchise. Again, you can pull out the plunger for the needle. Very, very nice looking accessory. That really then leaves us one last accessory to have a look at, and that, of course, is the Bleeding Eyes mask. I guess we're kind of jumping ship early to look at this quickly, as we haven't yet looked at the defaulted head that comes included with Michael Myers when you first get him out of the box. But we'll first look at the Bleeding Eyes. Like in the movie, you can see that it's coming out of one of his eye sockets. Very nicely done. It's a gruesome, certainly it's a gruesome way of displaying the figure. And I think, honestly, the likely way of leaning towards displaying it when I have finally been putting this on my shelf, I'm going to be, I think, going in the direction of going with the Bleeding Eyes instead. The mask, I have to say, is really good. You can see that it does have the opening here on the back, like it would have had in the movie. I think, though, the hair is a little more too brown. It maybe would have been a little bit nicer to have it a more lighter brown, as it seems to be a little bit more straw-like in the movie. Of course, the mask has deteriorated over those 3-year time. Really nice-looking mask, though. They've added what seems to be like a darker gray, and there's more of a medium gray added in there as well. Now, granted, they could have probably also added a more lighter white in there too, just to add a nice contrast of color. But overall, I'm really, really happy with this mask. I might even just say I like this mask, I think, a little bit more than the 1978 one we also got from Trick or Treat Studios. Now, again, I know we just beelined. We went way past looking at the defaulted head, so let's have a look at that right now. This is the defaulted head that comes included with the Dick Warlock Michael Myers. I just continue to pull down. You'll probably see me doing this a couple of times in this review. I'm pulling down the coveralls here. And just to show you the difference between the two. Obviously, expressions, not much is going to change, at least in that department. But both head sculpts are superior. I think they've done a great job in both the releases. You can still see where the outline remains from where they would have pulled away the side of the mask, the wig on the side of the mask. That's still left behind. It's a darker gray. It's actually a combination of like a lighter gray, a medium gray. There seems like there might be just a little bit of pink also added there in the neck area too. And like in the movie, he has those little curls that stick out the side. I just love those. Now, to change the heads out are pretty easy, in fact. You can go ahead and remove the head from the ball joint and then just replace it with the newer head when you're, of course, doing it, making sure, of course, you're not going to be getting the collar caught in there. And that just pops into place. Just going to fix the collar while I'm doing that. That's what it looks like with the bloodied eyes. You can let me know down below which head sculpt you prefer of the two. While we're also certainly on the topic of heads, I'm just going to put the figure down here for 1 second, reaching off to the side. I'm going to bring back in the Michael Myers from the 78 release. And even though the review really isn't about that, such a great head sculpt the original 78 was. And once again, just to show you with the bloodied versions how the mask does change, not only with the span of 3 years gapping between the two, but the two different stunt actors, Nick Castle and Dick Warlock, that played those roles obviously individually in their own movies. One thing I'm sure you guys probably will be asking as well is, can you use this head sculpt with that body? As obviously the coveralls are changed between the two. Warlock's coveralls were a little bit more that spruce green color, where debatable, of course, with the original 78 coveralls, some would say green, some would say blue, some would even say like a dark charcoal gray. In this case, for their release, they decided to go with the blue coveralls. Now, there is obviously that add-on pack, which was supposed to be a spruce green, but kind of came a little bit more close to resembling gray. But if you did want to remove the heads, there is one disappointing thing about them. When you remove the head from Michael Myers, at least the 78 release, and then we remove the head here from the Halloween 2, I want to show you the difference of the size ball joints. The bigger ball joint here is for the 78, the slightly smaller one here is for the Halloween 2 Michael Myers. You can't use the same heads. Well, you can, but if you were to say take this head from Michael Myers, you'll see right away that the socket inside the mask is actually bigger than the ball joint it's supposed to be sitting on top of. Just to show you what it looks like, though, that's what it looks like with the spruce green coveralls. Some might even just decide to pick up another Halloween 2 Michael Myers. That's the thing that ropes you in. You decide you want to pick up several Michael Myers of different ways you can display the figure on your shelf. But if you did want to display him, yes, in the green coveralls, you can go that route of just simply picking up another Halloween 2 Michael Myers and having him displayed with, instead, the 78. It's not going to sit on the ball joint, granted, but you can do that as well as another option. Let's go ahead and pick these figures up right now. We'll just actually put the body aside. We're going to come back to the 78 body, too. And maybe what we'll do is we'll put back the original head sculpt for at least right now. For the coveralls, one thing I did want to talk about for the coveralls is, first of all, the coloring is obviously very different than what we got before with the 78. But I want to say as well, like, the material feels noticeably different too. Just to bring back what I thought was done with the 78 release. The material that they've used for the coveralls in the 78 release, at least, seemed a more smoother material. What was different, though, I noticed about the Halloween 2 Michael Myers, is that the material that they used seems not only thicker, but it seems also a little bit coarser too. The coveralls have the same placement of pockets, also has the same zipper too. The thing, though, about the Halloween 2 Michael Myers is that this one does have a noticeably larger zipper, whereas this one was a slightly smaller one. The thing about using the larger zipper, though, is I find it does stick out a little bit from the coveralls. The coveralls also, with my zipper at least, you can see it's slightly wavier. I'm going to see if I can maybe iron that out. But because they are also using a larger zipper pull, it means that the zipper, I find more times than not, is a little bit more noticeable. So you may want to just try your best to fold the flap over top of it. I do really like the coveralls. I think the quality of the coveralls have been improved upon from the original 78 one that we got before. Although with Dick Warlock's Michael Myers, he always sat a little more boxier. So I keep continuing to pull the leg down because I really want to have the body here, the frame, really boxy, really squared off on the shoulders for Michael here. He does have some noticeable blood stains you can see across there. He does have what looks almost like bullet holes. So there's a couple there also present. Shot him 6 times. He just got up and kept moving. There seems to be also a bullet hole there on the side of his shoulder. And there seems to be also a few little blood smears also across the coveralls as well, with some pockets there on the back of his body. Well, one thing that they did do at least change between the two figures, is the footwear. I'm going to just bring back up the footwear here for the original Michael Myers and show you the difference between the two. The shoes not only are smaller, it seems, for the Halloween 2 Michael Myers, but it also seems as well that they are also thicker. Now, they didn't actually paint the rings, the little looplets that the laces feed through, unlike what they did with the 78 release. But I do think I like the boots a lot more with the Halloween 2 Michael Myers. moving that figure finally out of the way. Having a look at the articulation here from Michael Myers from Halloween 2, the head rotates all the way around. It is on a ball joint. Not only does it allow the head to look down and up, but also in addition to that, I'm just going to unzip the jacket here, unzip the coveralls. In addition to that, he actually does have a secondary ball joint just at the base of the neck. That then allows the head to look a lot lower down and also look a lot more up as well. So you get some really interesting poses with Michael that way. Let's go ahead, excuse me, just for a second. I'm just going to zip this back up. The zipper being slightly smaller, sometimes it may get a little caught on you. One thing also about the shoulders, when we get into the shoulder territory of the figure, he does have the crunch, so the shoulder actually can move forward and back. So if you actually did want to have the shoulders not be as wide, you can either have them a little further back, or you can also bring them a little bit further forward. Although you're going to have to, of course, fix the adjustments. Just get rid of the little excess of coveralls that build up as a resulting of that. But the shoulders do move forward and back. You can take the arms and obviously move them forward and back this way as well. There's a bicep swivel at the shoulder area. Of course, yeah, you can also take Michael Myers' arms and easily hinge them out at a 90-degree angle bend. But that's going back to the biceps. The bicep swivel seems to be a double hinge on the elbow. I like the fact that they are doing that. The hands rotate also all the way around on their independent pegs. There's an upper torso ball joint, a very generous ball joint on that. And then for the legs, they do split out with a forward and back motion, a swivel cut at the top of the thigh, double hinge on the knee, and even the boots themselves, there's a ball joint that also allows those boots to hinge back and forth this way also as well. Yeah, overall, I'm really, really happy with how this one turned out. I might again even say that I think this one turned out a lot nicer than what we got with the 78 release. Don't get me wrong, I did like the look of the 1978 Michael Myers also from Trick or Treat Studios. Let's go ahead and pop the head back onto the ball joint because we left him decapitated. That doesn't happen. Doesn't happen just yet. But yeah, when you compare the two figures, very much a night and day comparison. Coveralls are a different color, and even though the mask is supposed to be the same, not only do I think the one that we get here from the Halloween 2 Michael Myers looks superior, but I also feel like the paint is really handled well as too. It's got like this splotchiness there as well. And once again, we can bring back in the bloody mask one last time to show you guys what that looks like. It's so very easy to go down a rabbit hole like this, start to collect these 6-scale figures that Trick or Treat Studios are putting out. And with these ones like this, the fact that we have 2 head sculpts now included with the Halloween 2 Michael Myers, very much a strong contender for why you would want to get more than one. To date, this is the most expensive Michael Myers that Trick or Treat Studios have released. This one sits a penny less than being $200 over on their website. And if you were to also browse over on their website, they still have available the 4 and the 5 sitting at $159.99. So just between that alone, that's a $40 jump between the 4 and the 5 and what we get here with the Halloween 2. The 78 was even less than that. But there's something you also have to keep in mind as well. The 4, the 5, and even the 78 that started it all only came included with swappable hands and a knife. Anything that was added on to the 78 came from the accessory pack, which was sold separately. I can understand that Trick or Treat Studios did want to test the waters to see if there was invested interest from the collectors to be getting into this line. Now that they obviously know there's a huge reaction, a response from collectors that want to be picking up these Michael Myers figures, would probably explain why this figure gets so many more accessories and they weren't part of an accessory pack sold separately. So for a $40 jump between this guy and the 4 and the 5, $40 does give us now a new pumpkin. The Halloween 2 Michael Myers pumpkin that we see in the beginning of the movie. We get the hammer, we get the knife, we get the syringe, we get the needle, swappable hands, and the most important thing not to overlook is that we also get a secondary head portrait. The first time ever we've gotten this in a Michael Myers line so far from Trick or Treat Studios. For that to be a $40 jump from the 4 and the 5, I think is well worth it. Even just the fact that we would have gotten one head, one pumpkin, and all the hands and all the accessories, $199, I think is still a price that you can't pass on. The fact that they're still selling these Michael Myers at the prices that they are, not only is it good for new-time collectors to get into the market space of collecting 6-scale scares from Michael Myers, but it also means repeat customers too. I can already say for myself, I've gone back and reordered a brand new 78. I picked up a second 78, all because the accessory pack came included with a new pair of boilers. I wanted to get another way of displaying Michael Myers on the shelf, and I could see myself doing the exact same thing here with the Halloween 2 Michael Myers. The fact that we get too good of a head to put back in the box, I'm probably going to find myself picking up a second one of this guy so I can have him displayed with the bloodied eyes, as you see right now in final looks, And I can have him with a non-bloodied mask, have him displayed along with him on the shelf as well. What do you guys think of the Halloween 2 Michael Myers? And do you think the $199 price point that what they're offering this figure for is still a great price? I think it is. I really think it is. And moving forward as well, it seems like they're following suit with the other future Michael Myers. As it seems as well, the cursed Michael Myers is going to come with a lot of accessories as well. I say more accessories, the better. A big thank you once again to the folks over at Trick or Treat Studios that did provide this sample of the brand new Halloween 2 Dick Warlock Michael Myers that we could have a look at in this video. It is available over on their site, so I'll provide the link down below in the video description if you guys are interested to pick this one up, whether you're now a new-time collector of the Trick or Treat Studios Myers, or if you've been collecting them all this while and you want to now add the Halloween 2 to your shelf. I'll put the link down below in the video description. Also as well, if you enjoyed this video, hit it with a like. If you love the content you guys are seeing and certainly do want to stick around for more, then make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the bell notification. If you don't mind me also sliding in a little bit of 411 also at the end, popping up at the very end of this video as well will be a playlist of other Trick or Treat Studios reviews I've done in the past, including all the things I've mentioned of the 78, the 4, and the 5. They're all there in the playlist. If you haven't had yet the chance to check those out, give them a gander if you have a little bit of time on your hands. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.